Thanks to a few terrible new rules at the American FCC, now may be the best time to learn how to repurpose an old PC as a Wi-Fi router. And of course, we're going to use the oldest possible computer that OpenWRT supports. But will routing all my internet traffic through a 30-year-old Packard Bell impact my quality of service at all? Well, there's only one way to find out, so stay tuned. And if you enjoy repurposing old computers in hilariously unreasonable ways, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. On March 24th, just a few weeks ago, the US FCC declared that all foreign-made routers are a national security issue and are now banned from import or sale. And this, of course, is an unhinged decision, as all routers are built outside of the US. Oh, don't be alarmed. We're fostering cats.
This is the laziest wrestling I've ever seen. You're not gonna burn any calories laying on the ground.
Well, there's one router we can never ban. An open source one, because it is absolutely trivial to build your own DIY superpowered Wi-Fi and wired home internet router. Or as unpowerful as possible. But what is OpenWRT? It is a Linux distro that basically acts as firmware for your router. You can flash this to existing routers. They have an OpenWRT 1 router, which I believe is an open source router. Let's see the FCC ban that. And of course, you can download this and run it on a full-fledged computer. What's the point of that, you may ask? Well, an old laptop is much more powerful than the hardware that's in a consumer-level Wi-Fi router. You can use an external Ethernet card and use the built-in Wi-Fi radio in here to power your hotspot. This can work great as a router. But we're not doing something that's going to work great as a router. Oh no. We are downloading the latest release for x86 Legacy. And this should boot on a Pentium 1 MMX. Alright, so I'm just going to flash that onto this industrial strength CF card. Hopefully that means something. And let's see if it boots. Right after this quick word about today's sponsor, Azuna. As a professional amateur computer destroyer, I've had my fair share of magic smoke released here in the basement layer. Boy howdy, there is no masking that smell. Azuna works to neutralize odors, not mask them, using an eco-friendly plant-powered tea tree oil. And not only is this very effective, but it's convenient and eco-friendly. These beautiful reusable Azuna pods blend right into whatever their surroundings are. Just look at this one hiding on my workbench and my 3D printer Azuna pod. Azuna even tames our cat litter. Stinky little fuzzballs. And every 60 to 90 days, it's simple to refill the gel. This sustainable pod system really reduces plastic waste compared to those disposable air fresheners you buy at the supermarket. Natural, effective, and designed for low-tox, naturally-minded households. Get 30% off your Azuna order using my code ActionRetro30 using the link down in my description below. And put that stench on the bench. I just made that slogan up. Thanks Azuna for sponsoring today's video. But before we take a look at OpenWRT, I think it's worthwhile to take a quick look at what exactly a router even is. Because unlike a switch, which is a pretty dumb thing that doesn't really have to figure anything out, a router has to do all sorts of logic. You know, routing your internet connection and providing a login page to change settings and all sorts of stuff. This router is actually a tiny, weak computer running Linux. This thing has a 720 megahertz CPU, I believe that. This, I think, is 512 megs of RAM, and pretty much everything else on here has to do with networking, like these are for the wired ports, this is connected to Wi-Fi, I think Wi-Fi stuff is also in the CPU, and more importantly, this is fully supported by OpenWRT and would be a great candidate to install it on and have a fully up-to-date, if not the fastest in the world, internet router that the FCC can never ban. But we're not going to do that. No, sir. Alright, I don't even remember what's inside this thing. And no screws, that's a good sign. Open. Oh, terrible noises. All right, we've got spinning hard drive. That's coming out. And we also have upgraded memory in here. I remember now, we put 128 megs of RAM in to try to install TinyCore Linux on this thing. Neat. We do have 3 open PCI slots and 3 open ISA slots. It would be pretty hilarious to use an ISA networking card in here, but I think we're going to fill up these PCI slots. All right. Got a whole bunch of networking cards we can try. Different PCI Wi-Fi cards. I guess we'll just pick one to start. That's a modem. What is this doing in there? Huh, weird. Here is an Ethernet card. So this will be in, and this will be our Wi-Fi hotspot. You know, this TP-Link card is only 150 megabytes per second wireless N PCI adapter. So that, of course, is a bit slow. 802.11g adapter, that's even worse. But this Ethernet card is really quite good. This is a 32-bit gigabit Ethernet card from StarTech. So data in won't be a problem since I have gigabit internet. All right, in goes our Ethernet card and our Wi-Fi card. And then we need boot device, our industrial CF card in this CF adapter. And of course, for testing purposes, we'll just leave this dangling right out the side. Perfect. Now, the disk image provided by OpenWRT doesn't actually require you to log into the Unix system or use a screen with it at all. It just boots directly up into the router software, and then you configure it by connecting to it with a web browser. But for the purposes of our experiments, we are going to watch the boot up process and possibly log in to the underlying Linux system. All right, well, I guess let's see if a 30-year-old Packard Bell can boot modern router firmware. Oh, it's alive, and it sees the CF card. So in normal operation, you wouldn't see this boot menu because why would you have a display connected to your router? But we can boot into OpenWRT and see the boot log, and then it will let us log in as root if we want. The big question is, will it work? I mean, decompressing Linux, that's a good sign, right? How long could this really take? All right, it sees the Ethernet. There we go, the fast Ethernet driver is loaded. I don't know if I saw anything about the Wi-Fi card though. And I do believe we've booted. Yep, and look at that. Only took us about 45 seconds. How long does your router take to boot up? But since we're en route, let's see if we are, in fact. Okay, we do in fact have Ethernet available, but we apparently do not have that Wi-Fi card working. I guess I'll chuck this one in. But before I try to chuck a different Wi-Fi card in there, let's try to connect to the web interface. All right, now we're just going to hook up a laptop to Ethernet. I just saw it connect, and now we should just be able to go to 192.168.1.1, and this will be the admin page. It's serving the admin page from the Packard Bell. That's freaking hilarious. Oh boy, it's not fast, but it does work. Oh yeah, I guess I should set a password. Need something nice and secure. All right, router password. How about action, all lowercase? Literally the most secure thing I can think of. All right, and now check online for firmware upgrades. Oh, we'll worry about that later. All right, here we go, some stats. Oh my God, stop telling me things. All right, let's check our stats here. We have for our system architecture, Pentium 75. But we are running Linux kernel 6.12.74. That's pretty good. Our total available memory, well, we've got half of it in use, which we have 128 megs in here. Seems pretty good to me, but we only have our Ethernet port visible. It does see it as gigabit Ethernet though, that's good. And yeah, here is our MacBook Neo connected. All right, yeah, well, certainly looks like a router, but we need to find a Wi-Fi card that this can see. All right, out with you. Get an antenna on here, and let's see if this one works. Well, it doesn't do anything with that card installed. All right, before we go too nuts trying to get Wi-Fi out of this thing, let's get it routing first. So I have this Ethernet card, gigabit Ethernet. I know it works, and for some reason, I have two of the exact same Ethernet card. One for in, one for out. Let's see if this thing will get us online. We will plug our computer directly into one of the cards, and we'll plug the internet into the other one once we have this going. All right, I'm pretty sure I just saw both Ethernet cards go by. Yeah, ETH0 and we have ETH1. Both Ethernet cards work. We are pretty much a router. All right, let's log in here and see what we see. I still can't believe this is coming from a Pentium MMX Packard Bell. Reasonably fast to render this web interface. All right, network interfaces. It's only showing the one, devices. Now here we go. ETH0, ETH1. All right, let's plug in the internet. All right, well, let's see if we can do a little bit of configuration here. So we'll go into the network configuration file. All right, config device. We're not gonna put that there. No, we need to do config interface WAN. We'll say option to device ETH0 option proto DHCP. We'll save that. Give this a quick service network restart. Are we online? We are not. Okay, it would help if I plugged in the Ethernet cable to the right port. Link is up. I think this is working. Ping google.com. Oh my god, it's online. We are a router. Okay. And the last thing we're gonna do is use a custom DNS server. So I think that's under network interfaces. We'll edit this one. Advanced settings. And use DNS servers advertised by peer. No! Only Cloudflare. 1.1.1.1. All right, save this. Save and apply. Just like a real router. And oh my god, are we online through the Pentium MMX? We are! Holy smokes! Oh, look at this. We are routing our internet connection through this frickin' thing. How crazy is that? All right, we should do some tests here. I am going to do a speed test on Wi-Fi. Let's see, speed test, yep. All right, cable has been pulled out. Let's test my home Wi-Fi speed. I'm pretty far from my router, so it's probably pretty bad. All right, test complete. Let's see what the Pentium does. All right, we are now connected to our wired network, no Wi-Fi. Let's see what our Pentium router can do. Oh, just a bit slower, I'd say. A touch slower. Pentium's really trying, huh? 12 megs per second. I mean, that is kind of interesting because we are going through a gigabit Ethernet card on both directions. But yeah, 237.7 download on Wi-Fi compared to 12 on the wired Packard Bell router. And one of the things I think is super cool about OpenWRT is you can install Linux packages from the web interface. So if I want to install HTOP, I can just go ahead and do it on here. Oh my god, did you autocorrect HTOP? Stupid Apple. Okay, I've got HTOP running here on the Packard Bell, so we can see how much resources our routing is taking. Currently, we're only using 20% of the CPU and 31 megs of RAM. That's pretty good. But let's plug in Ethernet to the Mac and see if it jumps. Oh yeah, look at us, 100% CPU. But now we're back down, look at that. All right, let's browse the internet through the Packard Bell. Let's see, google.com, test. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing resource usage jump as it's doing routing. Yeah, it peaks out at like 50%, but that's loading, full modern web pages. All right, well, I guess we have to try to watch a YouTube video through this monstrosity, and we will keep HTOP open to see if we, strangle the system. YouTube.com, all right. So far, so good. Let's search for my friend Brankus Creations. All right, 25%, 52% CPU usage. All right. Wow, Bruce has 70,000 subscribers. This channel's really growing. All right, this is a recent video that I thought was especially good where Bruce created a vintage Macintosh web server. Let's try to watch that. Oh my God, it spiked up to 83%.
Thousands, almost all websites.
But it's working. In HD. We're streaming HD video through a Packard Bell. Oh, that's so stupid and amazing. Let's see. Let's change this quality. Oh, he doesn't have 4K. Okay, let's go to an action retro video and try to stream 4K through here. Here we go. Windows 98 is back. All right, let's put this in 4K. Oh my God, it's working. Look at that. We're streaming 4K video through a Pentium MMX router. And it's not lagging or anything. I mean, it's using 97.4% of our CPU, but that's fine. Yeah, it's pretty pegged, 100%, but it's still going. I don't see any dropped frames or anything. This is extremely impressive and surprising. Well, now that this thing is effectively a working router, let's try to get some Wi-Fi out of it. And I have a few ideas in case these Wi-Fi cards are too new for this Packard Bell to recognize. All right, in you go. Now, an interesting characteristic of OpenWRT is that if the device you've installed it on has Ethernet ports, wireless is disabled by default. But I don't even have a network wireless option. So I think it may not be detecting the Wi-Fi card. Yeah, it's not even in the list. And running ifconfig on the router itself, no Wi-Fi. So let's try the next card. All right, well, it won't even boot up with that card installed, so I think it's time for some desperate measures because I'm out of PCI network cards. PCI USB to Wi-Fi dongle. How fast do you think this is gonna be? All right, well, I've been trying to install the drivers for the various USB Wi-Fi dongles that I have, and yeah, this is not really going that well. I get these missing dependency, Gen IV, errors, but I installed Gen IV. Oh yeah, well, she's not happy. Yeah, well, it seems no matter what I try to do, it does not want to use the USB Wi-Fi, and I really thought that this Wi-Fi card would work, this TP-Link. I think I had this working in a 486, but maybe I'm thinking of a different Wi-Fi card. I don't know. What is the fastest possible Wi-Fi card for PCI? Maybe it is this one. So, should you replace your router with a 30-year-old Packard Bell? Yes. No. But should you try to create your own open source router using OpenWRT? That answer is yes, because it's super easy and super fun too. And you can pick up old Core i5 retired business machines from thrift shops for like nothing these days. What do you think? Is it worth it trying to build your own router using open source software and upcycled components? Or do you think this router ban is kind of a nothing burger? Let me know in the comments down below. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And I just want to give a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters and channel members. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for supporting me and supporting this channel and all the weird stuff I do. I am so very grateful, and I just could not do this without you.